I'm the Awarded for Kit Guru here at Cooler Master at Nangang for Computex 2018. Big stand, lots of stuff going on, hellish noisy, hope you can hear me. I'm going to pick and choose the things that have grabbed my attention. I'm going to hand over to Brian to do the peripherals. There's a lot of keyboards and such like. We asked them what's new and the answer is everything, so basically we're sunk. So let's take the Cosmos C700M. We have previously reviewed the C700. This has essentially been H500M'd, so it's now got the addressable RGB strips going around it. We've got the same large doors. We've got the full cable if you come round, so you can see inside. We've got all the good stuff going on inside. If we look at the frame here, however, we'll see that we've got the ability to remove pretty much every single component from inside the case. If we close that and move around to the good side, and we'll see this craziness here, which is the I/O panel is pointing that way, this graphics card is doing this. There is no good explanation for this other than make it yours, do what you want. The question of how do you connect a USB flash drive, for example, to the I/O or an Ethernet cable or whatever was kind of, yeah, well, yeah, you can, but it's kind of at that level. So it's based on the fact that this is a square frame and therefore you can rotate the parts through any angle that you like. I cannot decide if that is a work of genius or a solution looking for the problem. Nonetheless, it's definitely interesting. It's certainly going to be expensive. Over here, we have various H500Ps that we've already reviewed. We understand those. And there's the mesh that we know and love. Over here, H500M. I've just recently done a video of this case. I haven't yet written it up. They've slightly modded it in that it's got two more of the 200mm fans in the roof, which is what we saw at CS. It looks really good. And they've put the glass front panel in rather than the mesh. My advice, use the mesh. Nonetheless, the fact you've got the choice is good. Then we have, and I'm going to need some help to pronounce this, the Mastercase MC500MT. No one thinks that people have to read these things out loud, which is a Mastercase, so it's got the carry handle we're familiar with, it's got the Cooler Master logo shaped I/O panel, it's got RGB control, it's got the mid-plate RGB that we saw at CES. I wanted to see that in this case. We haven't yet got it. It just looked really nifty. The question of how they do the lighting, whether it's at one edge and then shoots across it, how many points of light you have and such like, those are very fine details that make a big difference to the finished article. Nonetheless, that mid-plate I like. I'm not so mad keen on that oldie-worldy look these days actually, but that I love. Moving around, Mastercase Sl600M. This is a lot more case than it first appears. We've got aluminium all over the shop. This panel here lifts to reveal the exhausts for the case. You've got the two intake fans on the bottom. You can see there's a lot of vertical clearance because the air flows up and then it exhausts at the top. You can, if you like, remove this aluminium panel to give you more airflow. So that panel in many ways reminds me of a Fantex front panel. It's quite familiar. They're still debating at Cooler Master whether it's aluminium there, aluminium there, aluminium there. They're going to make some changes. So at the moment, this track that comes around gets narrower, which is not pleasing on the eye. Stuff like that's going to change. But the finish of the aluminium, a blasted finish or brushed. Brushed seems like it's got the popular vote at the moment. At least the boss prefers that. If we come around here to the front panel with this very sleek I/O, it's illuminated. And it's illuminated because it has a presence sensor. Now the presence sensor at the moment is misadjusted. It will sense anything that's in this area here. But when you move away from the area for about 30 seconds, it goes dark. And that apparently is something Cooler Master is going to be using on a lot more of its hardware in the future. Moving around the back, and around the back, and past this panel here to the I/O, look, it's nothing. And that's because The power supply is up the front. The power connector is just a pass-through. It's quite peculiar. It's definitely a novel case. It's going to be hellish expensive. It's clearly still a work in progress, but it is due to be shipping in the next few months, I believe. I think CES 2019 myself. But that's an oddball. It's interesting, and it's got a lot of different things going on in one case. If we move down the line here, we've got various master boxes which are cheaper, basically. They're 50 or 60 at Amazon. They look perfectly nice. That's got a carbon fibre front panel. This has got, well, frankly, I think it's a regular mesh Cooler Master front panel. That's got a glass look panel, but it's actually acrylic. That master box is all glass. It's actually much more involved than these cheaper versions. If those are 55, this is like 110. So we're into proper territory here. We've got a lovely view through the side. Absolutely looks the part. So even though it's a master box, it is not a cheap and cheerful case. And then we take a quick scamper along the coolers. Going past the loudspeaker on the wall, go past these notebook coolers. Can I just dive in there, please? We have AMD Ryzen Threadripper, so that's the AMD Ryzen Wraith Ripper. This is the cooler we saw this morning at the AMD press launch of the 2nd gen Threadripper, going up to 32 cores, including this mighty cooler which can do a 250 watt TDP. It's absolutely huge. If we look underneath, we'll see a whole bunch of heat pipes, whacking great big cold plates, and in the middle there is a fan. So the fan is vertically mounted. If you're being blunt and to the point, and when you consider it has this cosmetic cap, it's got a certain amount in common with Be Quiet coolers, but it does look like a very sleek and finished item. With the various Master Air coolers here, RGB naturally, Master Liquid RGB. Here we have Hyper 2112 or 212 coolers. It's like a timeline of them. Up to date, they've sold 3 million units. 2013 was the 212X. I had no idea it was quite that old, so that's nearly 5 years old. This is now the H212 concept, so whatever they're going to call the next one. So the basic 212, 212 Plus, 212X, 212 concept, so 212 in a letter, I guess. And essentially it is cap on the top in a Be Quiet kind of styly, RGB addressable, and they're straightening up the airflow. So the airflow, instead of going through and splaying, goes straight through. But in principle, it's the same cooler. It still sells by the truckload. They just want to improve it and give it a freshen up. Coolers. We've got the Thermo electric liquid cooler, which basically is a fridge. It's not phase change or any such. It is refrigerated. So you've got the unit that goes on the CPU, and then you've got 2 heat exchangers, plus you've got fans. It's big, it's heavy, it's going to be fairly expensive. I would have said the biggest problem, apart from why you need it, and the answer is going to be for very hot CPUs, the biggest problem is packaging the 2 coolers. If they do something where they have one cooler in front of another cooler or some such, maybe. If they made it like a 360 unit, which was the 2 units in line. As things stand, that looks like hard work. Nonetheless, the idea of a cooler that can cool below ambient or really drive the temperature down, interesting, particularly as we've just heard about some really hot and toasty CPUs. So we've got the new Threadrippers coming, and we've got the Intel 28 core. Lots of heat, lots of power. Technology like this might look old world, but actually it's going to become more relevant than ever. Going along the line, we have a liquid cooler, transparent liquid cooler. It's a description, it's exactly correct. Look, you can see inside. Now it's not rotating at the moment, but you can see the pump rotor. They are apparently patenting this. Then going along, Master RS Liquid series, addressable RGB, it's all lovely. Master Liquid Pro RGB, more RGB, a wall of RGB, and then would you believe a rack of thermal compound. Now the fact they've got these different colours is because they are different thermal compounds. They don't actually have any description as to which thermal compound is for which job, but nonetheless, the idea is, and this one's already been used, it's going to be mucky, but let's go for it. It's a combination or combined syringe and applicator. So you squeeze it and you spread out your thermal compound. So if you're a member of the P in the centre of the processor brigade, tough luck, can't be done. There we have it. That's my half of Cooler Master done and dusted. I'm going to hand over to Brian in a moment, but if you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. If you want more from Kit Guru, click to subscribe, click the bell button, and you'll be alerted to new videos as they become available. I'm Leo Waldock. This is Cooler Master at Computex 2018.